Sometimes the passage of time can kind of trick us and we forget how long a band has actually been active. Like, for example, with November's Doom, who have just released HAMARTIA here in 2017. I remember listening to them at the tail end of my high school days. And to me, that doesn't feel like it's all of that long ago. But whenever I look at an actual calendar, I have to realize, shit, that's been 15 years. And that only covers about half of the band's actual lifespan. Yeah, even though their first album debuted in 1995, the band had been actually going many years prior to that, so we're pushing their 30th anniversary coming very, very soon. However, with this album here in 2017, HAMARTIA, there is a lot of that cerebral and veteran instinct that you are getting from the songwriting. But it's something that also juxtaposes nicely with a couple of touches that they put on this album in order to give it a feel of maturity. And it's also amazing, since we're talking about how the passage of time can sometimes change things, it's amazing how this group has been able to embrace part of their sound in order to make this album feel all the more doom-soaked and melancholy-laden. And that's the side that has a little bit more cleanliness to it, that really uses the power of the riff and the power of those doom-scaled melodies in order to really create that melancholy atmosphere, to create that sort of desolation that November's Doom has already been known for. But instead of incorporating their harsh side, their more deliberate side, they instead use the softness of clean singing in order to better illuminate and better display the turmoil that perhaps the songs are meant to capture. And this has always been a part of November's Doom sound. We cannot say here in 2017 that these elements are all of that brand new. It's always been present. But something about this album here in 2017, something about the way in which it's incorporated in HAMARTIA really displays it at its peak. And I'll give you a great example. Track number 3 on this album, which is entitled Ghost, a 5.5-minute long masterpiece really of melancholy on this disc, incorporates this absolutely beautifully. The vocals are done in very short bursts. You're not going to hear a lot of need for transitional melody or anything like that. Instead, it's almost like a conversation being had with a specter, either that or a conversation that is being had while in a moment of really, I guess, reflection, but also fear, considering it feels like somebody is being haunted by this specter, whether it be a legitimate one or just the specters of the past, the specters of reflection itself. And based off of that, those soft tones actually come off as more honest and actually more devastating. This feels very much like a Katatonia song, for example, only done in November's Doom sound, which in a way actually makes it even more silently devastating, considering with Katatonia, that tone is only sort of illuminating the melancholy, whereas with November's Doom, it tears down the walls considerably and almost takes you to a crushing low. And you get that with other tracks on this album as well, including the title track and Ever After, but this is something where, when offset with some of their harsher death metal style vocals that you hear on songs such as Devil's Light, it's one that crafts a real dissonance, and it also shows that maturity as songwriters, and it shows that November's Doom had a real goal in mind with this album, to really up the melancholy spectrum by allowing that cleanliness to really register over these haunting rhythms and these haunting constructions. And then you take a look at a song such as Borderline, which is over 9 minutes, and you would almost expect this song to be this whirlwind of sort of cascading sound. It would be a whirlwind of that death versus those cleans. It would be a whirlwind between melancholy and heavy metal, blast, destruction. And what you do get does boast some of those properties, but instead, it's one where the melancholy really takes over most of this track, at least 60% of it, and delivers a very charmed and spirited effort, one that really displays this band at its real emotional triumph, its emotional best. The 9 minutes very well spent in order to conclude an album that has a lot of mood soaked within it, but also a lot of that is washed dry by just the melancholy haunt, the melancholy moan of the spirit that you get from these vocals. This is a group that's right now on a pretty nice little ride. This is another album that begs to be discovered and begs to be listened to. If there's any problem with this disc, it's simply in the fact that November's Doom is getting close to 30 years old, where some of these elements are not necessarily surprises. The songwriting is still very solid, but at times it's very predictable. But based off of that, that's not a total loss. That's something that could still bring you in new fans that are perhaps capturing and hearing this sound for the very first time. Overall, this is an album that has themes abound that just really suit that soaked melancholy tone that you get both from instrument as well as voice. It's a 21 out of 30. And really, even though for some that might seem low, it's a really fair score. November's Doom continues to triumph in the fact that they're able to write not only competent music, but great music. Music that really encapsulates this doomed style that they have been able to incorporate, all the while not being afraid to have some songs that may remind folks of other bands, such as Katatonia. I actually like this evolution for November's Doom, because it's not like a blatant copycat. It's their own sound and their own unique take on that genre, a genre that they've always been in. So, is it really all that much parody? And the answer to that question is no. But I want to know what you guys think about this album. Let me know in the comments below. And I hope that you'll join us this weekend, as well as other weekends throughout the month of April and May, because we're doing a charity stream for one-of-a-kind pets in Akron, Ohio. You're seeing some elements on the screen about it. All donations are being split between keeping the lights on and helping out some great animals, dogs, cats, etc. at a wonderful animal shelter in Akron, Ohio that gives those dogs and cats that were on death row and other establishments a second chance at getting adopted and finding a home. So if you are so inclined, there are donation links in the description box below. Let's actually help some dogs and cats today find themselves some new homes. Thanks a lot if you decide to do so. I'm CoverKillerNation. I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.